And you'll find Donovan on your left and Ryan on your right. And we will be underway here to kick off round number 1.
And this is going to be a real test here for Hovis' deck. When he played against Hoagland, it wasn't like Hoagland's deck is particularly fast. He's playing more of a flash game. He's given Hovis some time to set up shop. We have not seen Hovis under duress. We have not seen him getting beat down early on in the game, and I'm not sure how well his deck handles an early rush of threats.
Looks like Ryan might be going back to the well here for just a moment. And I want to make sure I get this name right. It's Donovan Lachney. Don't ever want to pronounce someone's name wrong.
Gnarlwood Dryad and Noose Constrictor are going to be key cards for Hovis in the matchup. Those are his best early blockers.
Pretty good ones for sure. For sure. Ryan going to go down to 6 cards here. We do have a deck with Ryan Hovis later today. So if you don't see it while we are airing it, obviously you can go to our coverage page and check it out. He's very happy with his green-black graveyard deck. The only card he said he didn't like, Perpetual Timepiece. He said that one's kind of a stinker.
Maybe too fancy.
Yes. Said he'd rather have a few more creatures and some lands instead of that one. A Plains here from Lachney. We'll head back over to Hovis, who I think he peeled a good one since that land went to the battlefield right away. And he'll be able to crack the Vessel of Nascency in just a minute.
Well, he did scry to the top on his mulligan to 6 here.
Very true. There's Athalia's Lieutenant. Not doing very much right now, though. Top handful of cards. 2 Scrapbreed Scroungers, a Forest, and then the Decimator of Provinces. Curious to see which one he wants to take with the Vessel. He'll go with, looks like just the basic Forest. Yep. The rest will go to the graveyard. Great place for Scrapheap Scrounger, of course. Hovis will draw. It's a Forest. It's another Vessel. And Hovis will pass the turn back over to Lachney. Lachney will draw. Harness Lightning is what he found. There is an Aether Hub. An Energy will be on the way here for Donovan.
Harness Lightning has been very impressive so far.
Pretty good card.
Especially since a lot of these decks, just because of Aether Hub and possibly a couple other cards, just innocuously have extra energy lying around. So it is a lot better than it looks on the surface.
Lieutenant is going to come across here as a 2-2. We'll take a look at Handwear Garrison. Haven't seen this one all that much in the previous standard format. I think we're going to see a little bit more of it. Now, it's a human, and whenever it attacks, put 2 1/1 red human creature tokens onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. Pretty good with Thalia's Lieutenant.
Great clock here. This card, not so great against Spell Queller and Reflector Mage, so we didn't see a lot of it in the previous standard format. But with those cards probably going down in representation, maybe an opportunity for this card to show up a little bit. And a great card against Hovis' deck that does not really get blockers on the battlefield very quickly in the game and doesn't play with a lot of removal.
Hovis will play the Forest that he did find off of the Vessel. More Scroungers in the graveyard. One of the things about Scrapheap Scrounger, though, not a great blocker, as we know. I think Hovis might just be passing the turn back, yeah. We could just have Garrison online here. And hey, Lachney even found room for 1 Handwear Battlements.
I know.
The combo.
We have not seen it yet, to my knowledge. The meld.
Yes.
In fact, I don't know if I've seen either of those cards individually on camera so far. So I know for sure I have not seen the meld.
There is a Thalia Heretic Cathar. In response to this, Hovis will play a Grapple with the Past. Prized Amalgam among the cards that have been placed into the graveyard. This is the card that I actually think is great in this matchup for Donovan.
Yeah, a lot of what Hovis is trying to do is generate blockers at instant speed out of his graveyard.
Decimator of Provinces is going to come back. Haunted Dead will be brought back. Hovis needs to discard a couple of cards here. Remember, this is all in response to Thalia. So the Spirit, for example, will enter the battlefield untapped. So there's the Spirit. There will be an Amalgam trigger, presumably. Decimator of Provinces in the grip. Now the trigger for Thalia's Lieutenant because of Thalia entering the battlefield. It's great flavor. And now it's time for the attack step. Handwear Garrison, there will be a trigger. That'll make 2 humans that are attacking, which means 2 triggers for the Thalia's Lieutenant. So the Lieutenant's going to become a 5/5. The Garrison will come across with the 2 humans that it does make. It's a pretty good start here for Lachney.
Yep. And like I said, this was my concern about Hovis' deck. How does it stand up against this sort of thing? And this is not the most explosive white-red humans draw on the planet either.
Mm-hmm. Hovis will untap. Draw a card. He does have triple green for the Decimator if necessary.
I mean, that's got to be the route here. I don't think Hovis is going to be able to hold on in this game by blocking and managing the battlefield. He's probably going to have to cobble together a kill pretty suddenly via Decimator provinces, but Thalia complicates that quite a bit as well. Handware Garrison's really powerful if your opponent's not up to much.
I totally agree.
Yeah. It's not the card's weak, it's just been not well positioned against the popular decks of the previous standard format.
It's a little like Rabblemaster. I think Rabblemaster are better cards than this one, but they're pretty close.
Yeah, the Garrison's a little bit of delayed gratification compared to a Rabblemaster.
Sure.
And Constructed Magic is typically not great about delayed gratification.
Got to get while the getting's good.
Especially for aggressive red creatures.
Also true.
And it's 3 mana, so my gratification's already been delayed at least 2 turns, you know?
Well, you're a tough crowd. You're a tough crowd to please. Yeah. Hovis going to do a little math here, try to set some things up. He's trying to figure out how he's going to make it out of the next turn, I think. So you see the finger tapping and the counting that is taking place here. He might just pass. Maybe. Looks like he might go to Gnarlwood Dryad. He looks a little unsure. All right, he's going to go to Gnarlwood Dryad. That's going to end the battlefield tapped, of course, because of the Thalia, and pass the turn back. Lachney will untap. Take a draw step here. Picked up a PNLR.
Casting the Gnarlwood Dryad, especially if it's going to enter the battlefield tap, is a little interesting to me rather than leave up 4 mana and the ability to get back a Haunted Dead. Because then you get your Haunted Dead back and another token, and your Prize Amalgam can also come back in the event that you want to trade with it in combat this turn. So I'm interested to see what Hovis is setting up. Again, I have to believe it's Decimator provinces in some capacity, but I don't know if he's going to be able to keep enough of his battlefield intact to set that up. Seems very unlikely to me that he can survive this turn and next turn.
Yeah, I don't know if we're playing 2 more turns here. And it also seems very difficult for him to survive this turn and then kill Lachney on the following turn.
Exactly. He has to jump block the Lieutenant at the minimum. And then the rest of the pressure is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so he needs at least 1 more block or something else. And now it's gotten even worse.
Yes, it has. Here is Athalia's Lieutenant. 2 counters on the first one. And remember, those tokens are humans, so those get bigger as well. Pretty nice.
Hovis went from having to chump block the Lieutenant and also a Prize Amalgam in front of a token to he needs to do a lot more blocking now.
Yeah. And I think Lachney might leave back the Thalia Heretic Cathar. There's also going to be a trigger here for the Garrison. So long as he does remember it, he should get 2 more 1/1 red humans that'll be attacking, which means 2 more triggers for the Thalia's Lieutenant. Yeah, I like attacking with everything.
Yeah, I don't know if Hovis has enough cards in hand to do everything he needs to do now. Because he has the mana left over to get back a Haunted Dead, but I don't know if he has enough cards in hand to get back the Haunted Dead and leave a Decimator Provinces in his hand. So if by the looks of things, he's down to 2 cards in hand.
There'll be some blocks here from Ryan, obviously. He's just got to figure out where he's going to go, what he's got to do, all that stuff.
As things are currently situated, I believe he is taking lethal. I think he needs to block one more thing.
I believe you are correct.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs one more block.
The Garrison is a 3-power creature. The 2 tokens that have a die on them are 2-power creatures, so that's 7. And then the 2 tokens that don't is 8 and 9.
Like I said, I don't know if there's anything Hovis could do to necessarily win this game, but I do question casting the Gnarlwood Dryad last turn. I think it's more valuable as half of a Haunting Dead rebuy than anything it's doing in this game.
So Haunted Dead will block there.
So Hovis loses a lot, but he survives.
It looks that way. It looks that way. I guess he doesn't lose that much. The reason I say that he loses a prize amalgam that's going to come back. In that exchange, he lost just a spirit token. He's going to get big scrap heap scrounger, remove that, get this back, untap.
There's no way he can do this, right?
I would be very surprised.
Threw a blocker back on defense and the Thalia's Lieutenant.
Yeah. The Lieutenant on defense, the Thalia's, Heretic Athar, causing the Decimator into the battlefield tapped too. Like, I would be shocked.
Yeah, I guess the line of play here, the rationale for Hovis casting the Gnarlwood Dryad plus the Scrapyard Scavenger, Scrapheap Scavenger, that gives him the most power in play that he can do for his mana, more than getting back a Haunting Dead and another token.
Sure.
And since he has to go for the kill anyway, he might as well just put as much power into play as possible and hope that it washes out the right way. It didn't, but that was the line. He was going for the Decimator Province's kill, just didn't have enough resources to work with.
Donovan Lachney is going to win game number 1 here over Ryan Hovis. White-Red Humans up a game here over the Green-Black Graveyard deck. We take a look now at Hovis' sideboard. We'll start with 3 Collective Brutality, 2 copies of To the Slaughter, 3 Distended Mindbender, 2 Ishkana Graph Widow, a Call of the Bloodline, 2 Liliana the Last Hope, and a 2 Sinister Concoction.
I love the Collective Brutality for this matchup, probably just for his deck in general, but certainly here against a lot of small threats it seems great. I think the 2 copies of Ishkana are solid blockers. I don't know if the Sinister Concoctions are more for, Archangel Avacynth and other large threats, or if he just brings it in against any deck that is playing with creatures he can reliably kill with it. If it's the latter, then I can see that coming in as well. And this red-white deck is playing with more mid-range threats, more 3s that are valuable to kill, so I think Sinister Concoction's likely to come in.
On the other side of things here for Donovan, a Savage Alliance, a Skywhaler Shot, a Ride Down, a Fragmentize, 2 Blessed Alliance, 2 Chandra, Torch of Defiance, 2 Selfless Spirit, 2 Always Watching, 2 Repel the Abominable, and a Stasis Snare.
So I really like the Stasis Snare in this matchup. Exiling removal is really solid against Hovis. I think the 2 copies of Always Watching are really good here. Hovis doesn't interact with the board all that well, and so pump effects I think are pretty potent against this deck, and I like to be a little bit more in the air as well, so I can see the Selfless Spirits coming in.
Well, those are the options there for both players. Game number 2 will be underway here in just a moment. We'll talk about the StarCityGames.com weekly sale. It will be ending Monday morning, so you don't have a lot of time left to save on select full art basic lands.
Every week over at StarCityGames.com, there's a new weekly sale. Goes live Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Runs for a week. And then every week there's a new sale. Right now, sale on full art basic lands, various Zendikar basics, unbasics, Judge foils, and so forth. So go to the website, check out the sale on the full art basic lands, and make sure to do it soon because tomorrow there will be a new sale.
StarCityGames.com, place to be for the weekly sales. These players do sideboard. You will notice the Ultimate Guard logo that is on the screen and how they've been sponsoring Season 2 and Season 3 of the SCG Tour. A lot of awesome products over there by Ultimate Guard. We want to thank them and give them a moment to show off a little more of their products that they do have available. I want to thank Ultimate Guard very much for sponsoring Season 2 and Season 3 of the SCG Tour as we are here in Indianapolis watching Donovan Lachney and Ryan Hovis doing battle to start our Day 2 of competition. White-red humans, green-black graveyard. I think one we expected, one we didn't.
We were definitely expecting delirium strategies.
Totally true.
And in many ways, Hovis' deck is doing a lot of the same stuff, but he's going much deeper into the graveyard synergies, well, Prize Amalgam, Ghoul, Steed, and so forth. So a lot of the same elements that we've seen in green-black delirium decks, but this is kind of off doing its own thing.
I like it, though. I think that, when we air that deck tech, Ryan saying that I think I got a lot of stuff right, a couple things wrong, but there's something going on here.
Every game we've watched so far, I've been saying, Ryan's getting his head kicked in, nothing's going on here. And then it's, he's one card, 1 mana, whatever, short of winning kind of out of nowhere. And he's 8-1 right now. We captured his 1 loss on camera against Jeff Hoagland yesterday, and otherwise unblemished thus far.
It's a unique graveyard deck, and again, a lot of people, for obvious reasons, don't really have graveyard hate or any stuff like that. So I don't even know if there are good graveyard hate cards really in the format. I haven't really done that kind of research at this stage. Might have to now.
I'm sure there are. Wizards usually seed some good anti-graveyard measures into most standard blocks. The problem is the Delirium decks can just play like a controlled deck. Attacking their graveyard isn't really the most effective thing. Hovis' deck, on the other hand, if you could play Rest in Peace against Hovis' deck, it would be a huge deal.
Yeah.
So
that's probably game over.
Magic players, we are currently taking registration for our 11 a.m. Sealed Spectacular.
A lot of very good players here in day number 2 of competition. Behind Ryan Hovis, you've got 2 members of Team Card Hoarder playing against each other. Jacob Baugh and one of the Kiefers. You see Brad Nelson playing as a Kiefer as well behind Donovan and Lachney. So it's going to be, I think, a pretty star-studded top 8 here in week 1 of the brand new format.
a Kiefer run would be nice.
All the Kiefers in top 8 would be great. The Kiefer lock.
Yep.
I see Quinn sitting over there.
Imagine if this Kiefer had to square off in the top 8.
Oh,
top
yeah.
4.
I think it would get hostile.
Mom sweating on the sidelines,
Yeah.
watching her 2 kids go at. Be
That's
great.
right.
Great television.
A basic forest, a vessel nascency. We're underway here in game number 2. It's a mountain, and it's an inventor's apprentice. Here's a swamp. And just a passing of the turn from Hovis with the ability to crack the Vessel of Nascency, as you'd like. Lachney's deck does have a couple of 1-drops in it. It does have Thraben Inspector, as well as Inventor's Apprentice. Not going to find the Toolcraft Exemplar in his build.
And Inventor's Apprentice really kind of highlights the way people are trying to weave in a couple different synergies into their beatdown decks in week 1. It's not like Lachney has all the artifacts in the world in his deck, nor does he have all the human matter stuff in the world, but he has enough of both where this card is good enough to play.
Yeah, taking a look at his deck, if you're looking for artifacts, Pianolaro will make a Thopter, so that certainly counts. Thraben Inspector will make a Clue, that counts as well. And then you've got Smuggler's Copter and Fleetwheel Cruiser. So, yeah, like you said, not a ton.
Right. But if you look at just the number of artifacts in the deck list, I believe there's only 6. It's pretty light for a deck playing with a card like Inventor's Apprentice.
Aether Hub. Here's an energy. Actually only able to come over from 1 and then no 2-drop to follow up with, so a very slow start. There's Sinister Concoction. A card obviously we were going to see a bunch of this weekend. Obviously.
Of course.
Yeah, obviously.
I don't know, if you're doing the Madness thing, it's a really good rate.
I think this is actually a pretty good card.
Yep. And he's doing enough graveyard stuff where I think this one's a no-brainer.
Noose Constrictor. Let's see what we have here. Harness Lightning. The choice is Noose Constrictor. The energy will be given. Here's a couple discards. Now what's kind of cool about this is, with the way that's worded, it all happens at once.
Yep.
So you choose a creature, and then you can use the energy that's given, but they have to respond to you just targeting Noose Constrictor.
Yeah, on resolution, you decide how much energy you want to spend, and that's the amount of damage it deals. So Hovis made his Noose Constrictor a 4/4, and Lachney said, okay, not dealing any damage, save the energy for later.
Yep.
I don't know if he has any dumps for energy besides other copies of Harness Lightning, but that could still come up down the road.
You count the hub.
Yes, if he needs to tap the hub a second through fourth time, now
Yes.
he can do that as well.
Let's count the hub. There's a hub right now. 4 energy. That's basically the best land of all time now.
I think that land's great.
Yeah,
Going to be
it's
showing
really
up
good.
in a bunch of constructed formats.
Now we know this deck has a lot of good 3-drops. Here's one of them. Hanover Garrison yet again. We'll go over to Hovis. Hovis will draw.
Wouldn't surprise me if this forced the issue on the Sinister Concoction.
Just got to kill that thing.
Yep.
Did some good work in the first game, that's for sure. Ishkana, Vessel, and Nascency in hand right now for Ryan. Grapple with the past. 3 cards will go into the graveyard. Ishkana among them. Swamp looks like it's going to come back for Ryan. You can tell what Ryan's game plan is. He's trying to get to Ishkana.
Yep.
As you have to imagine, Ishkana plus Spiders will be pretty difficult for Donovan to beat.
Although he's not got all the resources in the world to work with right now, and he does probably want to answer the Garrison before things get too out of control on that front. And that does complicate getting to Ishkana. You can see, well, if I play this land and I guess discard a Vessel of Nascency, and then I have to wait for land number 5, maybe that's the route he has to take here, but there's no guarantee he gets to Ishkana on time if he decides to get rid of the Garrison this turn.
There's a Blooming Marsh. Grapple done resolving. And pass. Untap and draw. Needle Spires here for Donovan. That's the draw. There's a hub. Add an energy. 5 of them now. Taking a look at the Savage Alliance in hand. We can take a look at that as well. It's an Escalate spell. It has a lot of text. Limited All-Star, I'll tell you that much. Might start working its way into Constructed a little bit, too. 2 in a red, Escalate 1. Just 1 colorless. You can choose 1 or more. Creatures target player control gain trample until end of turn. That one doesn't come up a ton. Savage Alliance deals 2 damage to target creature. And then Savage Alliance deals 1 damage to each creature target opponent controls.
Relatively flexible, and if you flood out, all these modes play pretty well together, assuming the battlefield gets kind of clogged.
Pretty nice little card.
Well, time to see what this does.
Yep, pretty much. With Escalate.
Looks like he's announcing 2 to the Noose Constrictor and 1 to everything else.
We can confirm modes, obviously, on what is being announced here by Donovan.
Playing in the Legacy Classic, that is time. Active player, finish your turn. They complete 5 additional turns to the conclusion of your match.
Yeah, it was 2 to the Noose Constrictor and then 1 to everything. Wants to make sure the Noose Constrictor is dead, more or less. All right, Hovis will draw.
Yeah, felt like Hovis' line of play was really banking on drawing untapped land number 5 this turn if he didn't do anything with the Sinister Concoction. If he does, then he casts his con and things are relatively stable. As it stands, though, he's going to be taking a hit next turn, or he has to use the Sinister Concoction and maybe be set back. Though I suppose with the Honedead he's drawn, now he has something he can easily discard. He can take land number 5 into Ishkana. He'll be at 11. He takes 1 from the Sinister Concoction plus at least 3 on the table.
He'll take a Hissing Quagmire there. The thing is, the Ishkana's got to be good enough, though.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
But it may not be, if Lachney even has something like Declaration in Stone or something, it may not be good enough.
4 main deck copies of Declaration in Stone for Donovan. We're going to head back Donovan's way now, I believe. He'll untap those 4 lands along with all those creatures. Prepare to take a draw step. Don't have a great look at what that one is. I'm sure we'll.
Yeah, it was a smuggler's copter.
Okay, there it is. Here comes Sinister Concoction. Yep, discard the Haunted Dead, take care of the Garrison. I mean, that one was predictable. He's got to pay a life to do that, of course. Copter pre-combat to turn on the Inventor's Apprentice. Now here's an attack for 2/3/4. Oh, it's kind of looking kind of good right now.
Yeah, it really depends on Lachney's leftovers here, but Hovis has gotten the game to where he wanted to. He's got a relatively comfortable life total.
I'm going to, yeah, he's got Delirium. Artifact, creature, enchantment, and there's a land down there. Delirium, not very difficult for this deck to accomplish, I would assume. So here are 3 1/2 spiders with reach along with Ishkana Graph Widow. Pass the turn back. This is the stabilizer. Let's go over to Hovis. Fleetwheel Cruiser the draw.
Not shabby in this spot. Make some inroads on the battlefield.
Yeah. Seen worse. First time seeing that this weekend, too. Ho's going to take a quick read of the Smuggler's Copter. I'm sure he's played against that one a lot this weekend, just like everybody else here in Indianapolis.
Maybe he wants to know if it's a when you attack or if you deal damage trigger.
There's Fleetwheel Cruiser.
The car that drives itself. Self-driving car.
Elon Musk will be proud. Vroom.
So I think the rules surrounding these cards are kind of goofy.
Okay.
But the flavor and the gameplay of them
So
are
awesome.
they are great.
So awesome.
They are great.
The Cruiser are going to trade with Ishkana. I love all the vehicles so much. I think they're so much fun.
Yeah. Great gameplay. Flavor's awesome. Leads to a lot of hilarious moments.
Yeah.
People have their own sound effects. You know a car type is good when people make their own sound effects for it.
I mean, vrooming all over everyone for a long time. I hope they make a good train vehicle, so I can just make choo-choo noises like a child.
The problem is that trains ride on tracks, right?
Yeah.
The rest of the vehicles
Sort
are
of.
like, you know, they're helicopters or they're cars or
There's a demolition thing that's like a 10-7 Menace. That's
Sure.
a vehicle. It's like some gigantic monster machine.
but it doesn't ride on tracks necessarily.
Well, not all trains must ride on track. Yeah, there is a train.
Oh, there is a train?
Yeah, there's an Armada, I think. Bang!
Okay.
The Express.
Never mind.
Yeah. Beatdowns. Look at this thing. You want to block that?
Well, I can't. It has menace.
It's gonna. Well, if there are 2 of you,
Yeah.
you would both lose to that thing. It glides around the city, a sublime combination of elegance and utility. That's like the train from Snowpiercer, a movie you've probably never seen.
I do not know what Snowpiercer
Yeah,
is.
you've probably never seen that. It's too hip for you.
Oh, that's the criticism then. Let's come back to this in a little bit.
We'll circle back.
We'll circle back.
Circle
to
back.
that.
All right. Haunted Dead going to come back from the graveyard along with the Spirit Token. Looks like there is some blocking to be done as Needle Spires, Smuggler's Copter, Inventor's Apprentice are coming into the red zone.
But I believe now Hovis is essentially out. He can get back the Scrap Heap Scavengers, but those only allowed him to go on offense. And right now he's in the market for defense.
No real defense to be played. That's for sure. Looks like it'll be a triple block on the Copter, and then the Spirit Token will jump in front of the Needle Spires.
Saves him some points, gets the Smuggler's Copter off the battlefield at the expense of only 1 spider. I believe, gets Lachney's lone artifact off the battlefield as well. So future spiders are checking the Venere's Apprentice.
Repel the Abominable. All right. So I think that's in the okay. So I think that's in the deck. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to this turn by non-human sources. So here's why I think that's in the deck.
Okay.
Donovan doesn't know what he's playing against, and this looks like a Sultai Emerge deck
Okay.
that has Kozilek's Return.
Okay.
So that's why that would be in the deck. Now we know the truth that there are no Kozilek's Return in Ryan's deck. So I can understand why he brought that in.
Okay.
Obviously doesn't look good, but
Not its best moment.
no. But I totally get why it's in his deck.
That was more of a combat. Looks like it's kind of washing out to be a C-. All right, I'll try again.
Try again next turn.
Try again next turn.
Yep. Lachney might be thinking Needle Spires again. Yep. Looks like here comes Inventor's Apprentice and Needle Spires.
At this point, I think Lachney is really putting a premium on the Smuggler's Copter and would like to whittle down some of the spiders before driving that one over.
Yeah. It's a real slog of a game. But this is the way I think that that Hovis wants things.
Yeah, the game is getting a little ugly on the battlefield, which is kind of what his deck's in the market to do here.
Looks like he's going to activate the Hissing Quagmire, Will Hovis.
It smells like a double block on the Needle Spire to me. He's really valuing those spiders, because as long as he's got 3 spiders back on defense, it's very hard for Lachney to do anything with the Smuggler's Copter. And the rest of the threats on the ground are pretty manageable, especially now with Hovis having a Haunted Dead they can start recycling.
A little spider action here, perhaps.
I was more in favor of Hovis's initial block. I like keeping all 3 spiders right now.
You're just valuing those pretty highly.
When you have 3/6 worth of reach in play, the Smuggler's Copter, if it attacks, just trades with 1 spider. It's a pretty rough trade there for Lachney. And the 1/1s are checked by the 1/2s as well.
First strike damage, take care of the spider. What's the follow-up here? Okay, get back this.
Sure.
Regular damage, take care of the Haunted Dead. And now another Copter past the turn back.
And the second Copter is such bad news now for Hovis now that he's down to just the 2 spiders. With 3, it's still not even clear Lachney could afford to send them in, but now with 2, it's a freebie.
Yeah, clear for takeoff. 2 cards in hand here for Hovis, so he does have the ability to return Haunted Dead now if he'd like. Lashing going to untap. You see the life totals here, 17-8 in favor of Donovan. Surveying the battlefield, it's a complicated one. Didn't get a great look at what he drew.
Believe it was always watching.
Okay. There are worse draws.
This is really nice too, because if Hovis wanted to get back the Haunted Dead to try to get 3 points of power in front of one of the Smuggler's Copters on this block, now that's off the table. Now he's just chump blocking.
Here come the Copters. 2 triggers. But Lachney will decline the ability to loot and say, here come 2 4/4s.
Game could come down to decking, given what Hovis is up to.
Looks like Hovis is going to discard a couple cards here and get back Haunted Dead. Yep. And there's a Spirit, too. Unfortunately for Ryan, no triple block available now.
Yep.
It would just be a bunch of chumps. Yep, there's one of them. 4 damage is going to come through. Hovis will fall down to 4. And pass that turn back over to Ryan. He'll get back a Scrounger. He's trying to race. No prized amalgams down there, perhaps? Yeah, he's going to remove Ishkana from the graveyard.
Yeah. I mean, are we close to an out of nowhere Decimator Providence skill?
That's the first thing that jumped to my mind. Forest is the draw. And he does play 3 main deck copies of the Decimator. Not sure how many sideboarded, or not sure how many he has after sideboard. This is an attack for 6.
So keep in mind, each Copter is lethal, as is the Needle Spire.
True.
And Hovis has 3 blockers.
Yep.
So on the table, he's going to lose everything untapped.
That's why he left the Haunted Dead back. Ready to block that Needle Spires. Draw. 3-man Inspector. Play it. Crack the clue. Draw a card. Never know what you'll find. Another copy of Always Watching.
I think that I would have just dialed up the Needle Spire there.
Present 3 lethal attackers.
Yep.
Kill the 3 blockers. Reasonable. And there's another Always Watching.
Which I don't think changes the clock at all. Yeah, these are still just, it's just lethal the same way.
Copter's in.
Your round 2 pairings that will
I think I'm with you because not only does the Needle Spires present another lethal attacker that has to be blocked, but you actually get to filter your draw.
Yep.
By discarding the Always Watching potentially. All right, Hovis is knocking the top of his deck, so clearly he has something here that he can draw to win. Love a good slow roll.
Yeah, it's got to be
All
Decimator,
it's
right?
Definitely Decimator. That is a
Goal. It was a ghoul steed.
a fitting end. a fitting end. As
Man.
Donovan Lachney is going to win this match over Ryan Hovis 2-0. White-red humans will take care of the green-black graveyard deck.